Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to chime in and give my spiritual 2 cents on this matter, all right, dealing with Hassad in this statement that he made, all right. Pretty much this is a doctrine that they've been teaching, all right, and upon him leaving, the Sakari camp, he has not denounced any of their teachings, all right. So in my mind, ultimately, he's still not to be trusted, all right. But as the apostles say, we hope that he repents, all right. But they still hold to all of those doctrines, all of that mocking of the book of Hebrews, all of that, they still hold to it. And they still hold to these off philosophies and doctrines, all right, that are off, man. So him leaving the Sakari, whether it be doctrinal issues, whether it be personal issues, the man is still going off. Okay, him and the deacon, all right, who once used this talking point that Gog and Magog. Now, the word Gog just means prince or ruler. All right. Magog is the land. All right. And in these times, that is fulfilled in the Russians, who the Heavenly Father is dealing with. All right. For the purpose of prophecy being fulfilled. As you see, Russia is always in the news. And we know that Russia is going to be, used to gather many nations unto themselves and formulate their own beast system. We can see that, happening with the BRICS. All right. But many of even these Hamite nations, they're joining themselves unto Russia because ultimately they're all going to side with Russia to come up against Israel and against Babylon the Great. All right. For the purpose of war. All right. Now, when they come up against the land of Israel, it's going to be a great destruction. And that's going to lead to Armageddon. As the scriptures talks about the least of the flock, all right, the state of Israel, drawing out all of these nations to war. Babylon the Great will be drawn into conflict, all right, with Russia and many of these other nations that are, with Russia, Iran, Turkey. They're going to, leave NATO and side with Russia as well. And many of the nations that are a part of the EU, the beast system, NATO and the EU, they're going to turn on America, and there's going to be a great destruction in the land of America. So upon the return of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, there will be war on the earth, and that's what we will be delivered out of. Okay, he's going to deliver us out of the great destruction of Babylon the Great and the different captivities where we are scattered. All right, so all of the wars that are going to take place, all right, including Armageddon, which is the final war, those will all take place, okay, before, all right, and during Yahawashi's return. After we are delivered, okay, into those chariots, all right, the elites are going to flee into the bunkers, okay, but also we know, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, let's get that real quick. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 13 and 29. It says, behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth, and shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. So it's going to be all kind of division on the earth upon the return of Yahawashi. Okay. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass. All right. And the signs shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then my son shall be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. The Son of the Most High is going to return. Or he's going to come in the clouds as promised. Okay. And this is on the earth, there's going to be wars taking place. Now, what Hassad is teaching is that after, our deliverance and, we're delivered, Russia is going to have a short rulership on the planet Earth, as well as you have the IUIC teaching, all right, that while we have these nations in captivity, all right, for a period of 1,000 years, Esau, Edom, all right, in the form of Gog, Magog, is going to be gathering together weapons, okay, and pretty much what they're going to do after the 1,000 years of us ruling is come against us and start another war. All right, now Hassad and Deacon haven't went that far with the breakdown, but pretty much that's what they're alluding to. And this is what happens when you window shop and you listen to these other camps and these other breakdowns. Now, pursuant to how certain prophecies are written, I could understand why you would be confused dealing with, Gog, Magog, especially in Revelation 20, all right, in Ezekiel 38, but there's a timeline as to how all of these things are going to take place, all right? And when Yahawashi returns, okay, as you can see here, when they hear his voice, verse 33, when Yahawashi returns, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another. So there's going to be war going on the earth when Yahawashi returns. Armageddon is going to be taking place. America is going to be utterly destroyed. The elect are going to be beamed up. But as Yahawashi is delivering us, these particular nations are going to be trying to fight against him. It says, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and overcome him by fighting. Okay, Gog and Magog, okay, or Gog, the ruler of Magog, okay, is going to be a part of this. Okay, he ain't going to be somewhere chilling. The Russians ain't going to be somewhere chilling. No, they're going to fight against the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ as well. Okay? It says, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome them by fighting. But he shall stand up on the top of Mount Zion, which is that chariot where we are delivered on. And Zion shall come and be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest a hill graven without hands. This is the elect being beamed up into those chariots. Okay? Synonymously, there's going to be war going on the planet. Or synonymously, Babylon itself is going to be destroyed. And this, my son, shall rebuke, all right, the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into a tempest. Okay, including, all right, Gog, the ruler of Magog, right? They are a part of the nations that are going to be taken down. Okay, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are likened to a flame, all right, and shall destroy them without labor by the law, all right, which is likened to me. So these nations, upon Yahawashi's return, all their authority will be taken away. All right, now upon the earth, we know that the elites are going to flee into the bunkers. We know that Babylon the Great will be destroyed. All right, we know that the nations, okay, the nations round about are going to be lamenting, because Babylon the Great being destroyed is going to disrupt how the whole world functions, how the whole world flows. Okay, all of the economies of the world are going to be destroyed. It's not going to be anything to be ruled, all right, as concerning a nation on the earth. See, it'll be all full-blown chaos. Okay, and from that point on, we know that, Armageddon's going to be taking place. These nations are going to fight, all right, as it says here in Revelation 17, right? Revelation 17 and 14, this beast system that's set up, although they're going to be warring against one another, they're going to help, Russia destroy Babylon. Overall, verse 14, these shall make war with the Lamb and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is, all right, Lord of lords and King of kings, and all that are with him are called, chosen, and faithful. Okay, so these nations are going to fight against Yahawashi when he returns, and he's going to destroy them. It'll be a first round KO. Okay, Gog and Magog, all right, or Gog, the ruler of Magog, okay, are going to be a part of that. All right, as it says in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter, he's going to put down all rule and authority. Okay? 1 Corinthians 15 and 24. Okay, after the order of resurrection, as we're going to be resurrected back to our original state, right? 1 Corinthians 15 and 24. And then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to the Most High, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and all power, for he must reign till he have put all enemies under his feet. The last enemy that shall be destroyed is death. And that's Esau's world, Esau's system. Okay? Which you have to understand, Russia themselves, they will be used to destroy Babylon, but overall, they're bringing in the MOTB system as well. Again, remember in Ezekiel 38, it was told to them, the Lord is still against them. When you get Ezekiel the 38th chapter. Okay? The Most High is their enemy. Ezekiel 38 and 3. And thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach, and Tubal. But the Lord is going to use you, okay, to lead a great rebellion against the West, which we see that happening now. Now, the Bishop Nathaniel teaches that all of what we read in Ezekiel 38 is going to happen after, all right, we have been, delivered and returned back to the land, which that doesn't make sense, because we know that the plan of the Lord, all right, is that no more war is going to take place on the planet Earth. Let's get the book of Micah, the 4th chapter, right? Micah, the 4th chapter, okay? And the first verse, it says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow to it. That's the kingdom of heaven being established. And many nations shall come and say, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, all right, to the house of the God of Jacob, the tabernacle of David being established on earth as it is in heaven. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, the Israelites, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Showing you none of these heathen will come up under the second covenant, right? And he shall judge among many people, and shall rebuke strong nations afar off. This is going to happen upon his return, all right? And ultimately, once we're established, we're going to subdue all of the power of these heathens, man. We're going to disarm them, okay? Because, again, when we come down from the chariots, the elites are going to be in the bunkers. You're going to have particular people still wiggling around the earth. But on earth, it will be a chaotic scenario, man. The water is going to be bitter. People are going to be dying from drinking it, from all of the radiation. It's going to be a very, very, all right, crazy environment on the earth itself. There's not going to be a rulership from the time that we get beamed up until the time we come down. The Russia's not going to rule during that time. Okay? We know the nations are going to try to fight against, the chariot, but they're going to be taken down. They're going to be destroyed. Okay? The elites are going to be in a bunker during that time, trying to work their magic, still trying to call on their gods, probably doing sacrifices. They're going to have all kind of stuff going on. All right? But it's only to their demise. You see what I'm saying? He shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, man. And they're going to beat their swords into plowshares, all right, and their spears into pruning hook. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So there's not going to be any more war. It's a precept in the book of Psalms. Psalms, 49, I believe? should be tied to this. I remember seeing it. Because it's not going to be any more war on the planet Earth, okay? After that time. Let's see here. The book of Psalms 49, I believe. Let me get it real quick. Give me 1 second. Hold up real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. Psalms 49 or 46 and 9. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. So what the IUIC is teaching is that pretty much after we're delivered, okay, and we're on a chariot, all right, and return back to the land, okay, the heathen nations after 1,000 years, all right, led by Esau, Edom, or led by, all right, Gog, the ruler of Magog, are going to come and try to fight against the Israelites, okay, while we're in the new bodies, while we're in the throne of David is established. You see? And from the questions that Hassad was asking on the Apostle Ramlav's comment board, that's what he believes as well. Okay, now they haven't outright said it, but their statement is that, you know, pretty much after the Lord returns to deliver us, Gog and Magog will have a short rule, but it will be an insignificant rule. Okay, and I don't know if they're saying during that time is where Ezekiel 38 and some of Revelation 20 will be played out. I don't know. But we're here to give you the correct breakdown. Psalms 46 and 9. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. And this is what's going to happen when the scriptures say there was war in heaven. Okay, the war in heaven, all right, which Christians break it down like there's going to be a literal war in the heavens and Satan's going to be kicked out. No, the war in heaven, okay, is in the sky, because when the Lord returns, these heathen are going to be fighting against him. This is when they'll be all disarmed and taken down. You see? Revelation 12 and 7, and there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels, the chariots, fought against the dragon, Esau, Edom, and his military, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not, neither was there any place found any more in heaven. They lost, because pursuing to what we just read here in Second Esdras, the 13th chapter, when Yahawashi returns, okay, there's going to be one realm against another. There's going to be all kind of war going on. Okay, and when Yahawashi returns, verse 32, at that time shall be, all right, at the time, and the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, that the sign shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my son be declared, who I saw as a man ascending. And when all the people shall hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. So they're going to fight against who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's the war in heaven. It also talks about it earlier in this chapter. All right. Let's see, verse 2 Esdras 13. Let's see here, because it's talking about the delivering of the elect during this great war that's taking place and the destruction that's going to be coming. Let's see here. Yeah, right here, verse 6. And I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew upon it. This is the return of that chariot. This is the return of the Lord. This is Yahawashi's return. He's telling you, as he's breaking down his vision, that this was his son he sent back. Okay? But I would have seen the region or place wherein the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet dirge to fight. So that's going to be the war in heaven, where, all right, Yahawashi, Michael, the angels that are going to be, all right, because when Yahawashi returns, he ain't coming alone. You're going to have the great chariot where we'll be delivered on, but you're going to have other chariots. Revelation 19. Okay, Revelation 19 and 14. And the armies which were in heaven followed him. All right. I started 13. And he was clothed with the vesture dipped in blood, meaning he's going to come back for war. It's all symbolic. And his name was called the Word of God. That's Yahawashi. And when the armies which were in heaven followed him, because remember, he's the Lord of hosts. Okay, the Lord of hosts is the Lord of armies. So the Most High has his army as well. And at the head of that is Yahawashi. Another high-ranking angel in that is Michael. And when the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule them with the rod of iron. So at this point, how can Gog and Magog rule? Okay, we say Gog and Magog, but Gog of Magog, the ruler of the land of Magog. How can Russia rule? Right? Because upon his return, he's going to smite the nations and rule them with a rod of iron. All right? And he treaded the winepress with the fierceness of the wrath of the almighty power. This is Yahawashi's return. Okay? And he had on his vesture and upon his thigh a name written, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the great supper of the Lord, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and upon them that sit upon them, and the flesh of men, both free and bond, small and great. So it's going to be a lot of death taking place. So vultures represent gathering where dead bodies are. Okay, so the fowls in heaven are going to be gathered to come to this great banquet to eat these dead bodies, man. And that's also in the book of what? All right, you got it in the book of Isaiah 34, where it talks about that great war that's going to happen. But also in Ezekiel the 39th chapter, right? Which this is not going to take place after, all right, we're delivered and then, ultimately brought back to the land. No, this is going to all happen, all right, before and while we're delivered, okay, onto the chariot, okay? This is going to be the end result of what happens. Ezekiel 39 and 17, and thou son of man, thus said the Lord, speak unto every feathered fowl and every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come together yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you, even a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat the flesh and drink the blood, that ye may eat the flesh of the mighty and drink the blood of the princes of the earth, rams, lambs. So it's going to be a lot of death. All right, because they got a lot of riches over there. All of that's going to be burned up in the land of Israel. All right, and ye shall eat till you be full. And that just represents going to be a lot of death. Those fowls, all right, gather and circle around, all right, where dead things are. So it's just representative of a lot of death. Okay. And ye shall, and verse in the end result, I will set my glory among the heathen, and all the heathen shall see my judgment that I have executed, all right, in my hand that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day forward. Because we're going to be delivered, and we're going to be looking down at this judgment taking place on the planet Earth as we're on the chariot, and then eventually New Jerusalem comes down to rule. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity because of their iniquity, because they trespassed against me, not because they were so great. The Lord just used them for a purpose. He built them up, but he's going to take their rulerships down. Okay? And we'll come back to this. But when you get Daniel the 7th chapter, the final ruler of the heathen is this little horn. Okay, this little horn, which is symbolic of Babylon the Great, along with the beast system. The Lord is just going to use Gog, the ruler of the land of Magog, as a means to break that thing up, along with other nations that are going to be gathered unto them. But upon the return of Yahawashi, none of them will have any rulership. Okay? The fourth beast, which is Rome, and the revival of it, is the final rule of the heathen nations. Okay? That's what's written in Daniel's vision. No, there's no short rulership of Russia. Okay? That's a part of what Daniel prophesied. Okay? Again, even in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, the revival of Rome, right? The revival of Rome is it. All right? Which is fulfilled, all right, in Babylon the Great, which has the NATO and the EU. Okay? Which that system is going to be separated, divided, and break up, all right before the destruction. And Gog, all right, Russia is going to be a big part of that. They're going to be used by the Lord to lead a rebellion against the West, even taking with it some of these very nations that are a part of the beast system, a part of NATO, a part of EU. A lot of them are going to side with Russia. We see it happening now. Okay? So after this kingdom is taken down, after the fourth beast and the revival of it is taken down, all right, the modern day Rome, Daniel 2:44, and in these days, in the days of these kings, okay, the God of heaven shall set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Okay? And Yahawashi, all right, is that great stone that's going to come and subdue and take down all of these kingdoms, man. Let's see if we can get something on this. So many scriptures, man. So nowhere in Daniel the 7th chapter, okay, is Magog, God gonna rule. But they do play a very important part. Isaiah 45, Psalms 45:13, the kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endured throughout all generations. See, nowhere in this Daniel the 7th chapter, okay, the final rule of the heathen is right here. Daniel 7:25. Let's see here. Let's start at 23. Daniel 7:23. Let's read it in NLT. Then he said unto me, this fourth beast, all right, is the fourth world power that will rule the earth. That's Rome. And it will be different from all other rulers because they had a senate and how they brought in their rulers and emperors. It says they had a voting system and all of that. It will be different from all others. It will devour the whole world, trampling and crushing everything in its path. All right. Its 10 horns are 10 kings who will rule that empire. Then another king will arise, different from all the other 10. All right. And let's read this one in the King James. And the 10 horns, which are the vassal states, the subordinate countries, the beast system that helped, Rome rule, right? Back then you had the Visigoths, the Goths, the Vandals, the Sueves, and so forth, right? Today you have the EU. Okay, they're paired with Rome, which is America, to make it a beast system, all right? And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he, all right, shall be diverse from the first and shall subdue 3 kings, all right? And this is ultimately America. The 3 kings that will be subdued is the Spanish, the French, and the British, all right? Which America is truly still a colony and under the rule and authority of the British, But we know the Revolutionary Wars led to America becoming independent. The 13 colonies being established, and eventually, after Morocco acknowledged them as a country, all right, they would go on to become the 50 United States. This is a fulfillment of Babylon the Great. Okay? This is the final rule of the heathen. He shall speak great words against the Most High. He will defy the Most High with his science, with his pride, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times in the dividing of time. So our final captivity will come through this man. All right. And that 350-year period is that time and times in the dividing of times from 1619. All right. Where Judah, Benjamin, and Levi primarily were brought over here on those ships to link up with all of the other tribes. And from here, all right, around the 60s, the Lord would send the Holy Spirit to where a remnant from amongst Judah and Ephraim would be gathered together to fulfill the tabernacle of David being rebuilt. That's happening now. Okay? But from the 60s until now was that great awakening. And this is why the heathen are now preparing to wage war, because what we're saying, they're listening. So they've created their space force. They're ready to fight against the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. See? But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume it and to destroy it unto the end. All right? So his rulership will be completely destroyed. All of the Edomite rulership, including, all right, Gog, the ruler of Magog, including Russia, will be destroyed. Okay? It will be taken down. It's just that the Lord is going to use Gog, the ruler of Magog, as a means to help, okay, to destroy Babylon the Great, because that's just written in prophecy. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness under the whole kingdom of the whole heaven shall be given unto the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and their dominion, all right, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Nowhere do we see that before that kingdom is set up, God, all right, is going to rule. Now, when you get Revelation 20, okay, the way that it's written, as we always go into, okay, you have to read, all right, verses 1 through 3, which is speaking of the Dark Ages, all right, the Eastern Roman Empire. After the Western Roman Empire fell, Satan, the children of Satan, all right, for a period of 1,000 years, all right, were ultimately downtrodden and put into captivity. Okay? Bishop Nate is saying that, this 1,000-year period, they're basically reading this whole chapter, okay, from 1 all the way to 15 without any discernment, because you were supposed to read for the first 1,000-year period, all right, Satan bound. And people see the term Satan and they don't understand that Satan has a children on the earth. Satan just means adversary, but his people on the earth that he primarily works through, okay, to get his bidding done. Although our people are even under the influence of Satan. But when you read 2 Thessalonians, all right, and this is all just off the top of the head, so bear with me. This idea is coming to me. I just saw it and I wanted to speak on it. So 2nd Esdras chapter 2, all right, and 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, which the end wasn't going to come until he was revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, the prophets, and to destroy with the brightness of his coming, the chariots, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. This man will come to do the work of Satan with counterfeit power, signs, and miracles. So again, this man, okay, is speaking of a particular nation of people on the planet Earth, Esau. So when you read Revelation 20:1, and I saw an angel coming down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit, because we know Yahawashi has the power to take down a nation, all right, to put a nation into captivity, to have a nation rise up, all of that power and authority is given unto Yahawashi. Okay? So he had the key to the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and a great chain in his hand. Okay? That's where the fourth beast was ruled out of, man. Rome, in an area of Europe. Okay? Which is a part of Asia, might I add. Okay? They've made it a continent because of their superiority complex. But technically, there's really only 6 continents. You have, let's see if I can do this off the top. You have Africa, Asia, Antarctica. You have North America, South America. Okay, and I forget the other. What's the other? Oh, man. It's slipping. Australia. So you have, wait a minute, you have Australia, Africa, okay, Asia. Is it Antarctica? Antarctica, North America, South America. I believe those are, but what they've done is they've added, Europe as a continent, which technically that's just a part of Asia, which is all big one continent. Anyway, I believe I said that right. As a matter of fact, let's see if I did it right. Let's look up the continents before I go forward. Okay, see if I got it right. The 7 continents are Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, and South America. So I had it right. But see, Europe is really a part of Asia. Anyway, so basically here in Revelation 20:1, this is speaking of the Western Roman Empire falling, man. It says, and he laid hold on the dragon, which is the old serpent, all right, and the devil, all right, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is called the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. Now this dragon, when you read the book of Revelation, this dragon points towards the red dragon, which is the Roman Empire, which during that empire, they tried to, King Herod tried to off the Messiah. So it's not talking about a literal dragon. It's symbolic of a rulership, the Edomites. The red dragon is the Edomites. Okay? It's not talking about some great Satan being bound and put in chains and thrown and cast into the underworld, man. This is speaking of nations of people ruling on earth, man. Revelation 12:3, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast system, which that authority is what rules the world today. And upon his head, 7 crowns upon his, and 7 crowns upon his heads. All right, which represents, all right, the Greeks, okay, Rome, Germania Major, Germania Minor, all right, the Spanish, all right, the French, and the British. Out of British came America. The 10 horns are the vassal states, the subordinate states that help, all right, these empires rule and make it a beast system. Okay? So, again, this red dragon is alluding to what? His tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven. They took down Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, and this was the captivity we were under, the Roman captivity, when our Lord and Savior was born. That's why it says, and did cast him to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered to devour her child as soon as he was born. All right. And that's speaking of Herod trying to off the Messiah. Anyway, when you get Revelation 20, it's talking about that same dragon, that same Western Roman Empire, man. So he was bound 1,000 years. And you can look up, somebody could put it on the comment board, how long did the Byzantine Empire last? Or the Eastern Roman Empire, where our people ruled and so-called white people were downtrodden. 1,000 years, 1,100 years is what it'll say. So he cast him into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him that he should deceive the nations no more until the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. So for 1,000 years, the Edomites were ooga ooga in the caves, eaten out of skulls. They were chased away. Nobody wanted to be around them. Black gods and goddesses were worshipped. There was a bunch of Jake going off ruling. The Moors. Okay? And Esau tried to hide that history, but now it's out there. Our apostles and elders brought it out, and the men that labored with them before we came into the truth, they brought all of that history out. Now it's a common understanding that Negroes ruled in the Dark Ages, which they try to tell you for a period of 1,000 years is that we don't know nobody, nothing really happened. No. All right. And what took them out was a plague called Black Death. Okay. The bubonic and bubonic plague, where ultimately that Eastern Roman Empire fell. And after that 1,000-year period, as it says here, Satan was loosed. And that goes into the Renaissance, the rebirth of the Western Roman Empire. This is the system that we're currently living in. From the Renaissance until now, represents this 1,000-year, let's read it again, and cast him into the bottomless pit, Europe, and shut him up and set a seal on him. So Esau was downtrodden for 1,000 years, that he should deceive the nations no more. Okay? Till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. After that, he must be loosed a little season. All right? And this is that little season where he's been loosed. The joy of the hypocrite is before a moment. So when Jake reads this, they just keep reading. They don't understand that from verse 3, you really need to jump to verse 7. And after the 1,000-year period was expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, whose number is at the sands of the sea. They believe that this is after 1,000 years of us ruling in the kingdom. But they don't understand that this is speaking of that first 1,000-year period. So the way Revelation 20 should be read is from verse 1 to 3 and then jump to 7 and just read down. All right, verse 4 through 6 is speaking of the 1,000-year period where we establish the kingdom of heaven. Okay, after the first resurrection. So what they're teaching and what they believe is after the first resurrection, okay, Gog and Magog is eventually going to start another war and come up against us and get destroyed. Okay? That's not what that's talking about, man. The nations ain't going to wage no war on us with weapons after New Jerusalem is established, man. Okay? So as you read it, Revelation 20 and 7, and after the 1,000 years, Satan was loosed out of his prison. This is the Dark Ages. And shall go out to deceive the nations. That's what he's done. The Spanish, the French, and the British, all they did was go out and deceive the nations and cause friction, man. Okay, America, that's all they've done. It's caused friction throughout the four corners of the earth. But that's going to lead to Gog of Magog to gather all of these nations for war. Okay? And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about in the beloved city, because they're going to come after the elect. Okay? And fire came, all right, down from God out of heaven and devoured them. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, all right, where the beast and the false prophet are, all right, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. All right? And we know that ultimately, when you read this word forever, okay, an aeon, which can also mean a period of time for you people who believe in this eternal damnation. Because how are they going to be enslaved and be burning forever and ever and ever, man? Okay? And the tormented day and night, okay, also is going to go into that captivity that they're going to go in. But this lake of fire is speaking of what's going to take place here in Babylon the Great. Okay, but there's also going to be war waged around the world, because remember, these nations are going to fight against Yahawashi. Okay? Verse 9, and they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about, because where are we going to be? We're going to be beamed up. And they're going to try to fight against us, man. They're going to try to fight against who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. They're going to try to fight against our deliverance. But fire is going to come down and deliver and destroy them. So what they think is that Ezekiel 38th chapter, all right, takes place after we've ruled for 1,000 years because of that, that mishap and how it was written as it jumps in and out of prophecy. They just read it all the way through. Okay. They just keep reading. They read Revelation 1. They don't jump from 3 to 7. They just read, all right, this 1,000-year period. Speaking of the first 1,000 years where Yahawashi and his men are going to reign on earth, which we know is an everlasting kingdom. So the 1,000 years ain't it, but that's the first 1,000-year period where he's going to allow Yahawashi and his men to set up order on the earth. All right, blessed and holy is he that have part of the first resurrection. On such the second death have no power, that destruction, but they shall be priests of the Most High and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Okay, so again, what they're teaching is that after this 1,000-year period, God, led by other and the different nations, led by God, the chief of Magog, is going to gather weapons to come and fight against us as we're at peace in our land. Okay, and that's not what Ezekiel 38th chapter is talking about. When it talks about the future invasion of Israel, this is ultimately speaking of these times leading up to the destruction, all right, and how the Lord is going to use Russia, all right, to lead a great rebellion against Israel, the West, and so forth, which we'll get into that. Then you have 39. They're of the opinion that this all takes place after us ruling for 1,000 years. So after we rule for 1,000 years, there's going to be a great war. Okay? Ezekiel 39:6, and I will send a fire upon Magog and upon them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So will I make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I am Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. Behold, it is come and is done, saith the Lord. This is the day whereof I have spoken of. And again, all of these things are going to be before, all right, and during the return of our Lord, man. You see, that's when all of these things are going to take place. All of these destructions, all of these wars. Okay? And when we come down, we're going to set up order on the earth. All right, but we'll get into these chapters, Lord willing. But I just wanted to tap into that because basically they have a misunderstanding of prophecy. All right. And ultimately, when you go line upon line, precept upon precept, this couldn't happen, Ezekiel 38 and 39, after the 1,000 years of us ruling in the kingdom. There's no way. You mean after us ruling for 1,000 years on earth, the heathen, which should be disarmed by then, are going to have weapons to come out of the caves and start a war against us? This is what IUIC is teaching. Not so much Hassad, but Hassad is just saying that, when we're beamed up, Russia's going to have a small rulership. That's not in prophecy, man. Okay? Everything that the Lord is going to use Russia for will be fulfilled, okay, up until the point of the destruction of Babylon the Great. And even Russia is going to fight against the Lord. Okay? They're going to join all these nations to fight against the Lord. Remember, Russia wants that chip as well. Okay? Russia is not these holy, saints. The Lord is just going to preserve them. And no, they're going to be taken down too. Okay? And you got to understand why all of this destruction is going on. Okay, Revelation chapter 6 tells us what? Revelation 6 and 14, and heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and every island were moved out of its places, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. There ain't gonna be no rulership. The rulers of the earth are going to flee into those bunkers. They ain't going to be on earth. All right, well, you do this, you do that. No. They going to be in them bunkers. Will they have technology from those bunkers? Absolutely. Okay, but they're going to lose. They're going to, all their power and authority is going to, they going to be through. Now they're going to try to fight against the Lord. Okay, and we'll see, as far as how long all of this stuff is going to take and what's going to be happening, while we're on the chariot. We'll see it when we're there because we're going to witness it. But pursuing the prophecy ain't going to be no Russia ruling on earth. No, the rich men and the chief captains, including the rulers of Gog and, which don't die in the war, they going to flee into those bunkers. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For great is the day of his wrath, and who shall be able to stand? Russia ain't going to be able to stand either. None of them. But Lord willing, we'll be back with more. All right, shalom.